I started a company 2 years ago called Biodiversity Collective, and we basically are trying to do events that focus on research and education and trying to kind of combine those and make it into kind of a community effort.
Basically, we know less than 5% of the fungi that exist on the planet.
Stand here with Steinruck. He's a chef, a field mycologist, and we're in Port Angeles, Washington for the Fungal Diversity Survey.
Yeah, sponsored by Biodiversity Collective.
So what are we going to be doing up here this weekend?
We're trying to do a fungal survey of the former Lake Aldwell area. The lake was removed about a little over a decade ago and was a reservoir and lake for a little over 100 years. So now the river is free flowing and is allowed to be back to its original salmon habitat. We found it a really unique opportunity to do a survey of the fungi that grow in the restoration area. And so we're doing an above ground and a below ground survey. We thought it would be nice to get an overall baseline. And then we plan on doing this hopefully annually as part of the Olympic Peninsula Fungi Festival. We can also start to answer or ask some questions and maybe get some data that might help us, get to towards some sort of answer of what it looks like when you restore a habitat.
Good morning, my honored friends and relatives. I am Vanessa, or Eampton, and I am a member of the Lower Elwha tribe. Our village of Titi'ul was situated here. It was the largest inland permanent village site of the Clallam people. And so the dams were, there was one of them just downriver of us, and then the Glines Canyon Dam was up above us in the park. Those were removed in 2011 to 2015, which we dewatered these reservoirs. Where we're standing now or would have previously been underwater. Last year was the first time we've been able to fish in 12 years. So we're really excited to start healing our people as well.
I think it would be interesting to document some of the macro fungi or larger fungi that we can see. As we were saying, the soil sampling will probably have different fungi that we'll see in the DNA there than the ones above ground, but we're hoping to see a little bit of things that are the same.
We're kind of doing a kind of a course survey. Just take some soil samples, see what fungi are in there. In this area, right, they planted, what did Vanessa say, 430,000 plants or something, right? If they didn't have the associated fungi, those plants wouldn't survive. So if we're thinking about restoration, we need to think about the fungi because our efforts to restore an area, if the fungi aren't there, are going to fail. And so that's loss of money, that's time, just a big failure. So for this particular, they planted the lupins and these willows. If the plants don't come and colonize this, the river's just going to blow through here in a few years, and that work's going to be all for naught as well.
Oh, try again.
Roll them up, twist them closed.
Excellent.
Yep. And then so we'll throw these on ice when we get back to the car, and then we'll freeze them, and then tomorrow we'll do the extractions in the lab. Yeah.
A team of students, researchers, and mycologists headed out to collect any type of fungi they could find on the edge of the Elwha River. About 30 volunteers, which included casual hobbyists, students, amateur and academic mycologists, all combed the shores of the former Lake Aldwell for any types of fungal life. Anything from rust, molds, or crusts on logs or rocks to large macrofungi growing in the restoration area. Everything was carefully photographed, vouchered, and collected for DNA analyzation, then to be dried and held at the Burke Herbarium at the University of Washington.
Excuse me, miss, can you remind me your name?
Yeah, let me just...
And put lupin.
I'm Howard Sprouse, and my company is the Remediators Incorporated, and I'm a long-term resident of the Olympic Peninsula, and I love mushrooms. This is so cool because we got to work in the only other fungal diversity formal study that had ever been conducted in the Olympic Mountains on determining just what was happening both underground and in on top of the ground during the fruiting season of these mushrooms. That study was 5 years long, and in the scale of time that fungi marched to 5 years, we didn't even begin to uncover what we're going to uncover moving forward and continuing research. This is the beginning, and there's enough of that data still available that we can compare with what we're finding now, and that we can integrate the process that we found out over the last few days.
On day 2, the volunteers headed out into a nearby conifer-dominated forest to discover what the fungi population could look like had the dams never been built in the first place. The team of researchers flipped over logs, looked under stumps and in bog areas to discover a tremendous diversity of species. Large mushrooms fruit only at certain times of the year during the perfect conditions, so it's essential to also test the microscopic and unseen fungi that's growing below ground.
Only half of it.
This is a hygroscopy. I'm not really sure which species is here in the Pacific Northwest, but
Over the course of the 2 days spent in the field, the team made over 500 herbarium collections with over 200 different species.
My name is Chris Mederi. I'm here to talk a bit about the vouchering process. So today we went out just outside the Elwha River. Formerly that was dammed. So I'm very confident saying that this is an Amanita, although the species, I'm not quite sure. Then the big thing that we need to include on the voucher, and I'm just gonna make sure that I have the number pulled up, is the iNaturalist ID number. We're gonna dry this specimen here, and we're gonna send it in for DNA sequencing. And so it's really important that we write down this iNaturalist number, and because this is how the DNA labs kind of track which mushroom is which. You have the exact location, you have the exact time, all the way down to the DNA sequence of the mushroom. And so this is how community mycology works.
We are drying mushrooms that we found in the woods. We put them on the dryer, usually overnight. Once they get dry, we pull off a little bit of tissue, put it in a bag, and send it for DNA sequencing. And the rest of the specimen goes into a different bag, which then goes to the Bird Museum. We'll have them either in the plastic bags they arrived in, or we'll have them in sealed herbarium bags, which then goes into a box, in a bigger box, and that kind of helps prevent bugs from getting into the specimens. Our primary collection is 3 rooms in the basement of Hitchcock Hall, which is the biodepartment building at the University of Washington. But we also have collections in the basement of the Bird Museum proper and within a tertiary building on campus.
All of the observations from this project can be seen by anyone on iNaturalist in the Project OPFF 2024 Vouchered Collections.
All right, so we took soil samples from 3 different habitats. We took soil from riverbed, from riparian area, and from conifer forests. And so for each soil sample, we take 250 milligrams of the soil and we put it in this test tube. At the bottom of this test tube, there are glass beads. So the soil goes in here, we put a little bit of liquid buffer in there, and then we agitate the sample, or called vortexing, and these little silica glass beads break up all the material, all the soil. What we do is then we put the whole sample into a centrifuge, and we're going to spin that down so the DNA is in that liquid. And so the last product would be just a tube with just DNA. It's where we'll understand all the fungal sequences that are in that DNA extraction. It's right here. So we're racing through. We're already step 3. Yeah, it's just for a mixing step.
The overall results of the Fungal Biodiversity Survey may not be obvious for years to come, but this is the beginning of a movement to document and track the progress of a habitat restoration area like the Elwha River, and to help make way for future projects similar to this one. The flora, the fauna, and the fungi all working together in a very biodiverse world. Anyone can participate in this project. Simply go to biodiversitycollective.org or the Olympic Fungi Festival for more information on how to join or contribute to citizen science.